Hi, we're pleased to meet Rana Hajirasouli. Please, Rana, can you tell us about the circular economy and what it means to the surplus?
Of course. So the circular economy is essentially inbuilt in the surplus. The surplus is my climate tech platform. It provides a B2B solution for businesses to be able to be onboarded and simplify what it means for their companies to become sustainable. So we help companies reorganize what their resources are and what their waste streams are, and essentially collaborate with each other to give them a very viable, affordable, and easily accessible way to enter the circular economy.
Interesting. So can you tell us about the barriers and challenge, or the challenges and barriers, and as well as the opportunities for implementing that in the GCC?
Of course, there's a lot of opportunities because we are a relatively resource-intensive region. So that means to say we consume a lot, we produce a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of manufacturing happening locally in the UAE as well. So in the UAE, that means for manufacturing companies, they can find more revenue streams for their companies. So that means that they can start servicifying various business products. They can start leasing idle assets and machinery. So for one company, that may look like they've got very large overheads in their manufacturing plant. They've got a warehouse that they're only using half of it. So that means they could lease out the other half of their warehouse and also start sourcing secondary materials. So because we have a geographic proximity advantage over here, that means to say that companies are relatively closely located to each other, and the GCC is not an enormous continent. There is ample opportunity for companies to uptake adoption of circular business models and more innovative business models. But some of those challenges is also that the private sector is still hesitant to break into that innovation industry and adopt these digital processes because they're technical, they're complicated, they're currently unaffordable, and that means they have to replace a lot of their existing ERP and digital infrastructure internally. What we give them is an option to have a web platform. And there's also various other services that can help them enable this transition and make it easier for them in a way that they don't need to allocate a huge amount of capital or have a huge amount of technical expertise to just get started.
Okay. And if we're talking about the SMEs, what are the challenges for SMEs to implement the circular economy, as well as what could there be solutions for those challenges?
So some of the challenges for the SMEs in the UAE particularly are that they're unaware of the types of technologies that could help them transition into a more sustainable business. They're also thinking that perhaps they don't have the budget to allocate that kind of capital. So, a lot of businesses have the mindset, especially SMEs that are already, tightly resource constrained, and they're also constrained in various other ways. They think that sustainability is this large, expensive, elusive thing that they don't necessarily have a connection to. So I think that there are plenty of solutions out there that exist currently. From literacy programs to education programs, the UAE is partaking in a lot of knowledge infrastructure to be able to give access to that information to SMEs and understand how they can contribute to more sustainable business measures. And we hope that that closer collaboration and engagement between industries will help really transition this shift forward.
Okay, great. So one last question. You spoke about technology and the circular economy. Can you tell us about the exact link between them? Can you explain?
Yeah, of course. I think that 94% of the global economy is actually comprised of SMEs. So if we look at their kind of access to capital, is very interesting because we have a really interesting statistic that the internet penetration rates on a global level is 65%. Access to fresh water and those services is 75%. There's a 10% difference almost between the amount of people that have access to internet technology. So that would tell you that those adoption models can be very compatible, and this can help speed up the process to net zero. But we need to understand that there is a major resource gap and there's a major knowledge gap. So companies need to understand where they can start contributing immediately. That's not to say we have to wait for fancy technologies that perhaps are not proven 15, 20 years down the line. No, they can start looking at what they have currently and reallocating what they have and building the capacity from within, so every member of their organization can understand what they can do to contribute, so it becomes very closely aligned with their financial KPIs and not neglected as a one-off CSR kind of project, for example. So there is a very close link with digital technologies and the way they take it forward. For some companies, this may be adopting blockchain technologies, for example, in terms of digital passports for really intensive, resource manufacturing processes. For other companies, technologies such as AI may be very helpful to link them with the best organizations or the best practices that are happening locally, so they can have more of a local impact.
That was great. Thank you very much, Rana.
Thank you.